Assalamu alaikum. Well, this will be the last part of our last chapter on Sihr. It's part 2 from what I just did previously. I wear a different color though, so I can remind myself of where I am. I'm color-coded. Here is a hadith. An Ibn Mas'ud, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, Al-ahlu unabbiyakum ma al-add. It's a dod here. Hiya an-namima. Al-qalatu bayna an-nas. So, we're going to discuss something called al-add. Never heard the word before. What is it? It's namima. Now, you've heard about ghaiba wa namima. Al-qala bayna nas. Alqa, to throw these harmful words between people. Akhraju Muslim. This is a true hadith. And we're going to make this, let's say, a pivot of the last part of these, how many? 5, 6 pages. And I left it to be alone because I feel it's incredibly important. I never realized how important it was because I had heard about something called ghaiba wa namima. And when we studied it, you can say, perhaps very little. Because they would tell us that the ghaiba was when somebody is being attacked through words and you're almost like whispering lies about someone. And then the namima was, I can honestly tell you, I forget which was which, but one of them was if it's true, and the other one was if it's not true. Even if it's true, you shouldn't do it because it's a wrong thing to say bad things about people. So was it true or was it not true? Well, I remember, we would all think about it as we were younger and not really versed very well in Islam, and growing up the way we did, this is the focal issue here. When you grow up in the West, you don't have a clue of what's really right and wrong. Yes, it's wrong to kill, steal. What else would it be that we should lie, cheat, disobey your parents? Not so much. They didn't focus on that the way the Muslims do. But in general, the major sins, even the fornication was not stressed by the time I was around that age. Just the real basic do's and don'ts is what we had. This one, that's why when we studied it, when we were new in the faith, we'd say, well, what if it's true? I mean, what's wrong with that? I mean, if the person really is a cheating, lying, degenerate person, aren't we supposed to say he is so that we can be warned? Well, yes, that is part of the exception. But only if your intention is to truly warn your fellow Muslims about this. And there's a lot of conditions here. But the ghaiba and namima was one thing. Now we have the add, ayn, bod, he. Ibn Mas'ud. Now, this narrator, what a high status he has. Qala Rasulullah. Actually, Anna Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam qal, Allah halu nabiyakum ma'al-add hiya namima. Alqahu bayna nas. So I really do think I should be reading every word of this because it was a wake-up call for me. It was like I'm thinking of the euphemism we used to say in America, oh, light dawns on Marblehead. Well, Marblehead was a place where there was a lighthouse, and it was a beautiful ocean spot in the northeast of Massachusetts. So when you would be not paying attention in school, they would use these little local euphemisms, and they were really cute. You'd be falling asleep. You know how you do in school, and it's boring, and suddenly the teacher catches you, and she'd say, "Oh, light dawns on Marblehead," meaning, "You stupid, lazy student, wake up, you blockhead." When you get older, you really do remember the past. So if I find something cute like that, I'll tell you. I hope it's helpful. These little cultural, what are they? I don't know. What are they? What would you call them? Are they really important? Well, I think they're important linguistically when you think about it. Where we lived near the ocean, a lighthouse, light dawns. Oh, now you've woken up. You're going to pay attention on your Marblehead, blockhead. Wake up. It's just the way my mind works with the meanings of the words. Be patient with me. Okay. We're going to start with this and stay with it till the end of the lesson. That's not relevant. لا يحصل لهم مقصودهم لكنهم لو اعتمدوا على الله وسلكوا سبل الشريعة حصل لهم ما يريدون. If they could, these people who are involved in wrong things, if they could just pay attention to what the Sharia says, walk along the path of knowledge, اعتمدوا على الله, they would get what they want. حصل لهم ما يريدون. ومن هذا النوع أيضا من تعلق شيئا من القبور وجعلها ملجأ ومغيثة عند طلب الأمور فإنه يوكل عليه. Right away he jumps into, he's connecting everything here with what this book is based on. He immediately jumps into to say, but if you start with the graves and you think that you're going to get anything when you go to the graves and ask for it and make it a refuge, جعلها ملجأ ومغيث عند طلب الأمور, if you think you're going to gain anything and get benefit and feel better, فإنه يوكل عليه والإنسان قد يفتن ويحصل له المطلوب بدعاء هؤلاء. So you're going to get a fitna, and you're going to start to believe that you're going to get benefit when you call upon dead people in the grave. ولكن هذا المطلوب الذي حصل عند دعائهم لا دعائهم. It's not working. والآية صريحة في ذلك. We have a clear ayah about this. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ومن أضل ممن يدعو من دون الله من لا يستجيب له إلى يوم القيامة. Who is more astray than someone who calls upon other than Allah, never will answer them until Yom al-Qiyamah. So you can keep calling upon grandma or grandpa or whoever is in that grave. They will never answer you. Impossible. Till Yom al-Qiyamah, meaning they won't answer you on Yom al-Qiyamah. It means you can keep doing it until you're dead. And it's not going to help you. This is Surah Al-Ahqaf, verse number 5. لكن الله تعالى قد يفتن من شاء من عبادي. You see, this is the key here. Although all of this ought to be understood and avoided, ولكن Allah يفتن من شيء من يوم القيامة. Allah will cause this to be a source of a fitan, discomfort, confusion till Judgment Day. You might say, why was Allah doing this? Or does Allah do this? Or what's going on here? Can Allah relieve you from a fitan? Of course. He's the one that brought it upon you. Is he being unfair? Is Allah unfair when he calls himself al-adl? No. He's doing it to you for a reason, for hikmah. And what is the hikmah? To allow these people to keep going to graves, calling on dead souls. And you know, this is part of what is going on all over the world. I would say the number one perpetrators of this crime, because it is a crime against yourself, are the Asians. They literally visit graves more than any other culture, and they believe in their dead ancestors are watching them and caring for them. So that's why this book is hated, not published, not allowed, not translated, but it's starting to be here in America. You can't get the Arabic on Amazon, but you can get a translation, which of course we don't trust them 100%, but it's better than nothing. And there are also small little pamphlets that are finally being studied. Oh, finally. You know, you have your foot in the door, so to speak. Finally, people are starting to talk about this. In America. Alhamdulillah. But no one's doing this one. Why? Well, I guess because they didn't study Arabic all those years. I didn't really study Arabic all those years. All I did was read Arabic. I never had teachers. I tell you this, and maybe you don't believe me, but I say, I swear by Allah. I asked Allah to help me. And I prayed my 5 prayers, and I listened to Quran, and I would try to follow along with the English translation. And, you know, all these little primitive attempts when you're a new Muslim 40 years ago. I would do these things, and I would always ask Allah to help me, let me understand. And my methodology is odd. I never studied grammar until much later. All I did was listen to Quran. Shame on me for saying all I did. That's the number one thing. Listen to Quran. Follow along with the English translation, what you're listening to. Write down some vocabulary words, because of course you have to learn how to write Arabic. That goes without saying. And then ask Allah to help you. The key is ask Allah to help you. And then I would go to the book fair and buy Arabic books, which were so far above my capability. Ridiculous. I would be buying, you know, Ibn al-Qayyim and Ibn Taymiyyah. Allah led me to them. I don't know the difference. And then I would ask the women in the masjid to help me, and they would say, we can't understand those books. Those books are 1,000 years old. You'll never be able to understand that. And I thought to myself, what do you mean? What do you mean I'll never be able to understand? Oh, I used to get really, I didn't show it. I was friendly and nice, and I loved those ladies in the masjid so much. Well, that's what they said. I remember one time, just one woman, I became determined, and I said, there's got to be someone here that can help me. I want to know istiwa. I want to know the meaning of istiwa, because I knew that it was a controversial subject about Allah's on his throne, and this was 25 years ago. I barely knew what I was talking about, but I had this inkling that something was going on. She made an appointment with me. Of course, she had to take permission from Amna Dawla to even get near my house, and she brought with her the Mujallid. Ibn Taymiyyah has 38 volumes of his Fatawi, and she brought me the volume that had the whole story about istiwa. And she sat with me, and she went over every one of the, let's say, proofs, suppositions. Some people say it means this. Some people say it means, you know, we're still living through this. It's the same argument going on and on. But I found one when she was reading it and translating it. I said, that's the one I believe in. She said, well, some people do believe. Never mind, we'll do that another time. I want to get back to the magic. But, you know, if you really beg Allah and you really want it so much, he will put someone in your path. And this woman came in my path, and she helped me out that one time. Memories. مناسب الحديث. What is the purpose, or why is this pertinent, this hadith? إن هؤلاء الذين يتعلقون بالسحر, anyone who finds themselves attached to these false beliefs called sihr, ويجعلونه صناعة يصلون بها إلى معاربها, if he makes this part of what he's looking for, يقلون إلى ذلك, and he becomes attached to it, آخر أمرهم خسارة والندم. He'll be very sorry and he will regret that he ever did this. Now, let's get to that word that was up above in the hadith. هل أنبئكم ما العدة. There's no tashkil here. My complaint again, Muhammad bin Salman. Okay, how am I supposed to know? Is it عدة al-adda? Maybe you don't know. Maybe you don't care. But I care, because he's going to go on with this, and you'll see what I mean. Al-istifham li tashwik. كقوله تعالى Quran يا أيها الذين آمنوا هل أدلكم على تجارة تنجيكم من عذاب اليوم تجيكم من عذاب أليم. Allah is saying here, oh, you believe, shall I point out to you a trade that's going to rescue you from a torment? Surah Saf, verse 10. لأن الإنسان مشتاق إلى العلوم يحب أن يعلم. People really need and want knowledge. They love it. وقد يكون المراد به التنبيه. So Allah is saying here, this is why this verse up here means we're going to give you the information you need. تنبيه. لأن الموجه إليه الخطاب ينبغي أن ينتبه ليعلم. So who's ever hearing this, it's incumbent upon them to pay attention so that they can learn. وهي تصلح للجميع. Everyone can benefit from this. ومعنى أنبئكم أخباركم. What does it mean? We're going to give you information. أخباركم تنبيه. It's the same thing. In Egypt they call the news أخبار. الأخبار. It means we're giving you the current info of the day. Okay. ومعنى أنبئكم أخباركم وهي مرادفة للخبر في اصطلاح المحدثين. He's talking about what the muhaddithin use as their vocab. They have special words, those who study hadith. وقال بعض العلماء من نهاية اللغة لا اصطلاح. لا اصطلاح. He's saying from the point of view of the lugha, you see they have exceptions. They'll say, oh, this is istilah al-muhaddithin. These are the vocabs that the experts in hadith use. And these are the words that the ahl al-lugha, the Arabic experts, use. And then they'll make a difference between the meanings, and I don't know. I just say, Allah help me, because these ulama often, they just disagree more than they agree. Because it's got to do with ana, I'm right, and I'm not in any way denigrating the ulama. But there comes a point where I would just say, Allah help me. And then I hope that Allah will nawar qalbi wa aqli and let me understand what is important for me to know. What is hama and ghayra hama, what is important and not important. Qawluhu. Once again, no tashkil. I think that's a sukoon on top of that dad. Al-adhu. Al-wazn al-hablu. Wasamtu. Wal-wa'du. Bimana al-qata'a. So he's saying that this word that we read in the hadith above means to cut something. But if there's a kasra under, وَأَمَّا الْعِدَّةِ al-wazn and then he doesn't put the tashkil. على وزن العدة فإنها تفرق. So it's the same thing again. separation, cutting. وأيا كان, and no matter what, فإنها تتضمن القطع والتفريق. This is the meaning of العد. قالوا هي نميمة. Now here's where we're going to really get into why I said I love this so much. It's called النقل, carrying gossip. ونميمة فسرها بقول القاله بين الناس. This thing which is so hated is literally just people talking. نقول قول بين الناس فينقل من هذا إلى هذا, transferring from one to another. فيأتي لفلان يقول فلان يسبك. One will say to the other, so-and-so is saying bad about you, يسبك. فهو نم إليه الحديث نقله, وسواء كان صادقا أو كاذبا, whether it be true or false. فإن كان كاذبا, if he's lying, فهو بهت ونميمة. If it's a lie, it's namima. وإن كان صادقا فهو namima. It's both the same thing. namima كما خبر الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم تقطع الصلة, cutting relations, وتفريق بين الناس, وتجد هذين الرجلين الصديقين فيأتي هذا النمام فيقول لأحدهما صاحبك يسبك. So one goes to the other, and that one is telling the other that your friend is saying bad things about you. فتنقلب هذه المودة إلى عداوة. This is going to change their good relationship, loyal, مودة, إلى عداوة, to be enmity, enemies. فيحصل تفرق. And what is the result of this? They separate. وهذا يشبه السحر بتفريق. And this is so important, this one sentence here. This is how the word sihr means separation. لأن السحر فيه تفريق. قال تعالى. Another verse from Quran. And this is a famous verse. فَيَتَعَلَّمُونَ مِنْهُمَا مَا يُفَرِّقُونَ بِهِ بَيْنَ الْمَرْءِ وَالزَّوْجِ. Surah Al-Baqarah. This is how married people can get separated. This way. النميمة من الكبائر الذنوب. It is a big sin. وهي سبب للعذاب القبر. And it's a cause of being punished in the grave. ومن أسباب حرمان دخول الجنة. And this can prevent you from going to paradise. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يدخل الجنة قطات. And this is إخراج البخاري. Prophet Muhammad said a qattat is never going to paradise. What is the meaning of a qattat? A namam. This type of person who does namima. وفي حديث ابن عباس المتفق عليه في بخاري مر بقبرين يعذبان. He passed two graves and they were being tortured. أحدهما كان يمشي بنميمة. This is Bukhari. One of them used to go all around gossiping and saying bad things about people. والنميمة كما هي من كبائر الذنوب, it's a huge sin, فهي في الحقائق خلق ذميم. And even if you don't say it's a huge sin, when you talk about a person's character, it's a very lowly thing to be described as ذميم. ولا ينبغي لإنسان أن يطيع النمام مهما كان حاله. So do not obey this namam person, no matter what he says to you. وَلَا تُوتِيُ كُلَّ حَلَافٍ مَهِينٍ. And don't obey the person who is always saying, "Aqsam billah, kula halafin." Don't listen to those kinds of people. Hamazin, masha'in bi namim. They're useless, and you shouldn't have anything to do with them. وَأَعْلَمُ أَنَّ مَنْ نَمَّ إِلَيْكِ نَمَّ فِيكِ أَوْ مِنْكِ. So when the person is doing this to you, نَمَّ فِيكِ أَوْ مِنْكِ, he's either saying something bad about you or what someone said of you. فَأَحْذَرُوا. Be warned about these people. وَهِيَ أَيْضًا سَبَبًا مِنْ أَسْبَابِ فَسَادٍ فِي الْمُجْتَمَعِ. These types of people corrupt the society. لأن هذا الإمام إذا أراد أن يعتدي على كل صديقين متهابين. His target are the friends that love each other. ويفرق بينهما بنميمة فسد المجتمع. He wants to separate them, and this of course destroys the society. لأن المجتمع مكون من أفراد. Any society is made up of singular people, أفراد. فإذا تفريق صار كما قال الله عز وجل, another verse from Quran, وَلَا تَنَازَعُوا فَتَفْشَلُوا وَتَذْهَبَ رِيحُكُمْ. Do not argue, or you will fail. And تَذْهَبَ رِيحُكُمْ, it's going to take away all that you had before, which was good for you. This is Surah Al-Anfal, verse 46. وَإِذَا لَمْ يَكُنِ الْمُجْتَمَعُ كإنسان واحد فإنه لا يمكن أن يكون مجتمع. A mujtama is not made up of one person. أفراد المتآثرة ليس لها قوة. Because when you're alone, you don't have any power. ولهذا قال الشاعر. I'm going to read this, but I never read the poetry because I don't really understand most of it. لا تخاصموا بواحد أهل بيت فضعيفان يغلبان قويان. All right. Don't make a problem. تخاصموا بواحد أهل بيت, anyone in your home. فضعيفان, two, يغلبان قويان. I guess it means two people have more power. See, this is what I mean about poetry. Poetry in Arabic is not for me. I'll take the Quran and Hadith. فأبى الرماح إذا اجتمعوا تقصيرا. So he's speaking about throwing a spear, and if you do it together, you can break. فإذا افترقنا تكسرت أفراد. But alone, you can only get one. Stay in groups. Islam is all about groups. You're not even supposed to go anywhere by yourself. That's why Prophet Muhammad would say, Rafiq ala tariq. Take a friend with you. And also here, قال رسول الله ولا يبيع بعضكم على بيت بعض and لا تخطب الرجل على خطبة أخي. Don't jump in and take away the sale from your other Muslim. And don't jump in and take away the partner from your brother Muslim. You know, if she's engaged to one man, don't break it up so you can have her. And if your friend has purchased something, don't try and break the purchase so that you can have it. Now here's something else. الفصاحة بلاغة. There is something about words and how you express yourself can be a form of sihr. The way people speak can make you confused, especially if they have a very clever, educated tongue. تسبي العقول بغير الأفكار. That's why you have to be careful about people who are silver-tongued devils, as we call it. Uh, they say the Irish are silver-tongued devils because they have a way of speaking that is so eloquent that it's going to make your head spin and you'll end up believing whatever they say. Now, of course, I don't know if that's true, but I'm just telling you, I like to give you some cultural information here. That's why the Irish are the politicians in America. More presidents in America. I have Irish ancestry. And I don't know if that's a good thing because, you know, politicians lie. And I'm waiting for a hadith that I know should be here. Oh, we're half an hour. We should go now, though, because all of the rest of this, it's the last page. There are hadiths about mutafayyikun, mutashaddiqun, and one more. There are 3 descriptions condemning people who show off with the way they speak, and they use big words, complicated words. This is what the hadith means, that it's a form of sihr, because they mesmerize the listener, and they make it overly eloquent. In other words, plain speech. In the Quran, Allah says, اتقي الله وقولوا قول سديد يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم. What does that mean? I remember when I first read that 40 years ago, I was intrigued by it. Allah says, say straight words. Qawlun sadidun, it will be better for you. It will make your affairs easier. It's the first year I was in Egypt. I remember asking the sheikh, and he said, where did you get that? I said, it's in Quran, as though he didn't know. And he was impressed. He was happy that I found that, and I was affected by it. It's in Surah Nisa. And then, of course, I wanted to know the meaning of Qawlun Sadidun. So it took me a little while before I really got the info on that, but it was from a different sheikh. Sadid means you said to prevent something, to block something. So why is Qawlun Sadidun blocking what? Qawlun Sadidun, the sheikh explained to me, after which there is no doubt. So the words that you're saying have to be so precise and pertinent and understandable. That's your goal. Don't do all of this flowery eloquence, as we would say. It's a disturbing thing to the mind. Say straight words, and your life will be better. And that's something we should all strive for our lives to be better. And the straightest words you can find are in the Quran. But people don't like to pay attention to it. You know, sometimes I'm going to close with this. 33 minutes. I have to close with this because I feel it's pertinent. And I'm going to be as straight as I can. This is not meant to be a criticism, the last 4 days of Dhul Hijjah, but in a sense, it's an observation. I'm really not pleased with so many lessons regarding the Sihr, and so few, almost non-existent, regarding the words of Allah in the Quran. Ask yourself, how many lessons have you heard from the du'at in America? We know who they are. The big ones, and we know who they are. How many times have they ever explained Quran to you? The meanings, the verses? Are there any straighter words? Now, some people will say, oh, that's what the Sufis do. They concentrate on Prophet Muhammad more than they concentrate on Allah. I don't know. I'm just saying what I've observed. So I'm giving you the straight words. Don't get tangled up in too many of these YouTube videos. I would like to say, for every hour you spend on the YouTube videos, could you please at least read Quran for an hour? I bet you don't. I shouldn't say I'll bet. What a bad way of expressing myself. I know you don't. So that's why I always make sure that I read 2 juz every day, and I do it in the morning, so at least I can tell myself, the lamam, is it lamam? Allah allows lamam, a bit of something which is not so great. He allows it. But when you get to the point where you know you're listening to more YouTube videos than you are reading Quran, I would say that is a negative in your life. If you care to find out what Allah wants, be better for you, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.